Hi everyone, it's Sachin. Hope you're super awesome. Thank you for joining me today. I would love for somebody to let me know that you can see me and also hear me. So if you can type in the chat box that you can both hear me and see me, that would be greatly appreciated. Okay, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thanks for joining me today. It's a beautiful day here in Toronto. I hope it's beautiful where you are. And just a friendly reminder that the sun is always shining. It just depends on what side of the clouds you are on. So thanks for being here today. And it looks like it's good morning for some people. I would love to start off by knowing where everyone is from. So if you could type that into the chat box, that'd be great. And I'm seeing that more and more people are joining us. So I'm going to give everyone a few minutes to get settled and let the technology do its thing. But I would love to know where you are from and have you join me. Come on in, Devin.
Give me a hug. To give you a hug, it's Sachin.
Yeah. So while you guys are getting set up, I wanted to introduce you to Devin because I'm actually spending time away from him. He wanted me to shoot some hoops with him, and I said I've got to do this webinar because a lot of people are depending on this information. So they can see you, but you can't see them. You can see their names. Look at this. People from Australia, North Carolina, Melbourne. Jasmine says, hi, Devin. A lot of people from Australia. That's amazing. Welcome, Elizabeth from Ottawa and Pittsburgh. So Devin, you see, this is what Daddy does. When he's down here, he's helping people literally from all over the world. How cool is that, right?
Oh.
Yeah. So thank you, Devin, for allowing me to do this. And now I hope it gives you some perspective on the impact, right? And maybe one day you'll have an impact on thousands of people like this. Cool, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can you say hi to everyone? All right. What are you doing now?
I don't know.
Shooting some hoops?
No, we just came in.
No? Okay. Well, I will see you soon. Okay? All right. He always probably wonders what I do down here when I'm on these webinars. I tell him I'm on a webinar, but now he gets to see the other side of it. He gets to see the impact. So thanks for everyone who mentioned where they are from. Let me start sharing my screen here. Okay, so as I mentioned, type in where you're from, and I'd also love to know what you hope to learn today, because this information is really for you. I've got a lot of great content that I'm going to pack into this next 90 minutes for you, and what I'm also going to do is really listen to what your needs are so that I can best serve you and use this time together in a very valuable way. You know, your time is extremely valuable, and I certainly don't want you wasting it, so I'm going to try to pack as much information to this as possible. I'm going to make this information easy for you to get across and understand. So I wanted to get across to you through this medium of technology wherever you are, and I want to make sure that it has an impact on you. And the goal here really tonight is to have a massive impact on your health. So I have my journal. I've taken notes. This is extremely important to me, so I've given the information that we're going to talk about tonight a lot of thought, and I appreciate all of you joining me today. So welcome, welcome, welcome. All right, so it looks like we've got lots of people. Terry's here saying that I'm interested in knowing better how to use food and exercise. Great, we'll talk a little bit about that and how to have our own best outcome. I need to lose a toxic extra fat on my body. I have Hashimoto's and getting rid of it has been difficult at age 49. Okay, I would like to learn how to boost my metabolism. Great. And we've got somebody from Ohio saying that wanting to learn as much about me as I can, body detox and weight. Got somebody from Seattle here hoping to learn specifically on metabolic reset over 40, recovering from adrenal and thyroid disease. All right, balancing hormones. Great, keep them coming, guys. This is also I can better help you and so you can get the most out of this next 90 minutes together. Okay, amazing. Okay, so you want to know no one talks about uterine infections. Okay, well, we probably won't be talking about that tonight. So if that may be something I can talk to you about a little bit later, but we won't be talking about that tonight. Okay, somebody wants to know about menopausal weight gain, how to stop your sugar cravings. Yep, we'll hit on that today. Oils and cream in coffee. Okay, that's good. We can maybe touch on that towards the end. And then will I find out what my metabolic type is? Yeah, we're going to go over that and the different imbalances that we see. And of course, people want to know how to lose weight and how to keep it off. Yeah, we're going to talk about that as well. So welcome again, and let's get into this. This is going to be really fun. So first and foremost, I want you to know who this is for. So this is really for people who, of course, want to learn information, but it's also for people who want to apply information and people who want to make the world a better place. So just to be totally honest, I want to make sure that the people that are on this webinar are here not just for themselves, but because they realize that they have an important role in this one life that they have, as we know it so far, to really make an impact while they're here. So I love working with people who are committed, who are dedicated, who are coachable, who are teachable, who are open to learning new things, who want to make the world a better place, who realize that their children's lives depend on how they live their life, not just what they say, but actually how they live. I'm interested in working with people who can see a better future ahead, okay? And they realize that in order for that best future to exist and come into reality, they have to be the best version of themselves. And you know, I want people to experience what it is to be human. And when we're in pain, when we're suffering, when we're kind of stuck in our bodies, we can't really get to the next level of human evolution and consciousness. And so that's where I want to take people. So if this is for you, you're in the right place, right? But if you're just looking for the next fad diet, if you're just looking for the next person to blame for your lack of success, if you're looking for all the excuses in the world to give to me or other people, like, this isn't for you. So this is for real game changers and people who realize that this one life is extremely valuable. They want to be vital. They want to be healthy. They want to be giving and nurturing, and they want to have fulfillment. So if this is you, then type in heck yes. And if it's not you, then I'll spare you the 90 minutes that we're going to be on this call together, because maybe you can go spend it with your son or your daughter and go play basketball or something, right? So I'm not interested in wasting your time, because I'm not interested in wasting my time. So you saw firsthand at the very beginning what I'm giving up my time, right, to do this for you with. You know, I'm giving up time with my son and with my family. But I'm doing this because this is important to me, and I'm inspired to teach you what I've learned over the last 15 years being in practice. And I want you to apply what I've learned. I don't want you to go through the same learning curve. I don't want it to take 15 years for you to learn some of the most important things that I've learned over the years, because it'll take you 15 years, probably more. And in some cases, you may never learn this information. You know, I just spoke at a conference in North Carolina to a group of integrative healthcare practitioners, medical doctors, chiropractors, naturopaths, DOs, health coaches, a variety of people. And the stuff that I share with them, which I'll share with you today, rock their world. And they were blown away by how simple it can be to be healthy when you put the right parameters in place. So these are the things that I'm going to be teaching you, okay? And I want you to realize that this information is valuable. It's extremely valuable, probably worth millions of dollars if you really think about it, because health is not just your wealth. Health is everything, okay? So we can't put a price on our health. Certainly we can't, but certainly our health is extremely, extremely valuable. And if I can keep you healthy for a lifetime, I don't know what that's worth to you, but to me, that's worth a lot of peace of mind. It's also worth a lot of money. The other thing I want you to realize is that everything I'm going to tell you today are things that I do and personally practice. So our practice is called Living Proof for a reason, okay? It's because we role model what we do. It's not because we read about it in a book. And so it's not the I read about it in a book institute, it's the Living Proof Institute. So our commitment to you is that we're gonna teach you with the highest level of integrity the things that we actually do in our personal lives. So you're gonna get a deep dive into why these things are important. And these are the things that I feel are the most important things for you to know if you wanna live your best life possible. I'm not necessarily just interested in a skinnier version of yourself. Like if you go from a size 12 gene to a size 8 gene, that doesn't really excite me. What excites me is that you're going to take those size 8 genes and you're going to put them on and you're going to go out there and change the world, because you have more energy, you're more confident, you have more certainty, your brain's working better, your digestion is better, you slept great last night, you're brain is firing on all cylinders because you have amazing health. That's what I'm interested in. So those are the type of people that are going to get the most amount of value from this conversation. And I say all this, I know I'm spending quite a bit of time talking about this because I want to make sure that you realize that you're in the right place. So I see a lot of heck yeses coming in. Thank you. I appreciate you. And let me just make a quick note. We actually didn't lose anyone. Okay, so you're all in the right place. Awesome. So now that you know a little bit about me and my mission, I'd like to know a little bit more about you. So we got a ton of responses from the email that we sent out. And, you know, a lot of people were saying they were either body type 1, 2, or 3. I'd love to know which body type you identify with the best. So is it number 1, which is in red? Is it number 2, which is in green? Or is it number 3, which is in blue? So I'd just love to know which body type you are so I can decide which body type to spend the most time, energy, and focus on. Okay, so just type in whichever ones you are. If you're a dude, that's totally cool. Hopefully, maybe you look like some of these women. Jojo, I know it's you, so you don't. But if you carry weight around your midsection primarily, which a lot of dudes do, then that would be a number 1. Okay, we do see men with hips nowadays. Okay, so if your pant waist size has changed and your hips are nice and snug in those jeans, and your thighs are nice and snug, you're probably number 2. And if you gain weight all around, you're probably number 3. Okay. All right, so it looks like we've got a lot of 1s and a lot of 3s. Okay, 3 tends to be trending to be a little bit more dominant. So, you know what I'll do? I'll focus on all of them because you'll gain a lot of insights, and some of you might be a combination. We usually find there's a combination of 1, 2, or 3. In each of us, it's almost like your dosha from Ayurveda, which is, you know, Pitta, Vata, or Kapha. You're usually a combination of all 3, but there's a dominant one that shows up. So thank you for all of you that responded. Okay, so let's get into it. So let's describe what each of these hormonal imbalances are. And some of you might already know the answer, so it's just going to reinforce what you already know. So body type number 1 is the adrenal body type, and this is associated with excessive amounts of cortisol. And so cortisol, we're going to learn a little bit later about what cortisol is, but we typically associate cortisol with stress, okay? And the majority of us, if not all of us, including myself, have way more stress than our grandparents did. We can at least say that, right? We tend to normalize what stress is based on our experiences. So, you know, if somebody's working in a high stress environment and somebody's working in a low stress environment, their perception of stress is going to be radically different. So for some people, you know, the amount of stress and pressure that they're under, they've normalized, and to them it's a normal day. But if we were to switch roles, they would feel like if they were living my life, probably on a little kind of mini retreat slash vacation. And if I was living their life, I'd probably be stressed out to the max. But over time, my body would adapt, okay? So we become adapted to the level of stress we put ourselves under. And so just like our muscles can adapt, our hormones can also adapt. And we'll talk about something called hormonal resistance in a little bit as well. So what's associated with this excess cortisol type? Oftentimes it can be fatigue. It can also be insomnia. So some people will complain about being wired and tired. Sometimes we'll see redness in the cheeks of these people. They might have feelings of anxiety or feelings of excess stress or just a hard time kind of winding down. They might have weak or brittle bones, so osteoporosis or osteopenia in some cases. In some cases, you might have a moon or roundish face, so the shape of your face starts to change a little bit. Typically in this type of body type, we're going to see weight gain, especially around the midsection. And what's good about this is that if you're under fight or flight situations, you could run away. If your arms and legs got fat, then it'd be hard to run away. So the excess cortisol adrenal body type is typically someone who's undergoing or has undergone a lot of stress. And sometimes that stress can be physical, sometimes that stress can be mental and emotional, and oftentimes it's mental and emotional is what we find. Sometimes people with this body type will have excess acne or poor skin. They might crave things like salt, cheese, chocolate, and sugar later in the day. They might need coffee to get them going in the morning. Typically, they'll have dark circles under their eyes. They'll have inflammation or joint aches and pains in their back and neck. Oftentimes, these people might have heel spurs. They might experience symptoms of fibromyalgia later in the condition. They'll have something called pitting edema. So this is where some people might experience swelling in their legs at the end of the day. If you're sitting for prolonged periods of time, you might push down and you might have a pitting So there might be a pit left there where you can push your finger in, or these are people that have a lot of rings around their ankles where their socks, elastic is, and that could be a sign of edema. They're typically out of breath when they climb the stairs. Their immune system can be overactive. Sometimes it can even be suppressed. And they might experience things like allergies or chemical sensitivities. And oftentimes we'll see people with autoimmune conditions who have this excess cortisol type of presentation because their immune system is not working properly. That's one of the things that stress does. We'll go a little bit deeper into that a little bit later. And then they can be moody and irritable. And I'm sure we all know people who are like that, okay? And some of you are private messaging me and saying, hey, that sounds like me. So you can private message me and let me know if that sounds like you. Because if this is you, then some of you are going to be in the early stages of this, where you might start having the symptoms, but your body may not physically look like that because maybe you're focused on exercising and you're doing whatever it takes to keep, your body composition the way it is. But if these are your symptoms, then you might be coursing in that direction. Now, keep in mind that there's people that have this problem that may not have the body composition, but one of the easy ways to identify it is some of the physical characteristics that we talked about today. It's hard to hide your body composition. It's easy to fake not having these symptoms. So it's a great visual. And then these people also might experience brain fog. And we'll talk about that in just a moment as well. And, under significant cases, like later stage cases, we might see a buffalo hump at the back of the neck, and sometimes even in the lower back area. So these are some of the physical and physiological characteristics of this individual. The next body type is the ovarian body type, and this is typically where there's excess estrogen or a decreased metabolism of estrogen outside of the body. So we make it, of course, women make more of it, men make it as well, and what ends up happening is we store excess amounts of it because we have imbalances in our hormonal metabolism. So we gain weight around the hips, thighs, and buttock area. Typically, that's referred to as a pear shape. The adrenal body type is referred to as a apple shape. History of PMS and menstrual issues, a history of ovarian cysts, cyclic fatigue associated with the cycle, which then brings on cyclic brain fog. Of course, your brain is one of the biggest hogs of energy, pound for pound. Cyclic pain in the knee. We also see lower back pain associated with the cycle, a lack of libido throughout the cycle, hot flashes, night sweats, vaginal dryness, cyclic acne, cyclic mood swings, and excessive menstrual bleeding. And so what happens is typically these women, when they're young, are put on all kinds of hormonal birth controls. And the hormonal birth controls, depending on the person, can actually make the symptoms better, which is great. But sometimes it can create side effects that could be problematic for people a little bit later in life. And some of you asking, what if you're 1 and 2? Yeah, you can be a combination of all 3 of them. Hopefully you're not a combination of all 3, but you'll see in a moment why you can be a combination of all 3. And you'll see in a moment why, even though you have overlap between the different areas, why you're dominant in one of them. Okay, so the reason these body types present themselves all boil back to the same root cause, which is really nice because we can actually fix the root cause. And then there's a cyclic constipation and a cyclic thinning of the hair. So you can see that there's a cyclical nature to some of these symptoms. So, a couple of weeks out of the month, you might feel great, and a couple of weeks out of the month, you might not feel so great. And that can be associated to your cycle. And if you're post-menopausal, so if you're not having your cycle anymore, well, guess what? We have excessive amounts of estrogen in our environment and in our personal care products and in some of the foods that we eat. So these are things that we need to pay attention to as well. So even if you're not cycling anymore, if you're not having your menstrual cycle, that's okay. Or it's, it is what it is, but you can still have some of these symptoms. And sometimes they can be chronic and throughout the month. So initially it might start off cyclical, and then it can be persistent throughout the month, which, who wants any of these things all the time? The third body type we talked about is the thyroid body type. And so this is typically associated with low thyroid hormones. So there's a sluggishness in the metabolism. These people might experience fatigue, unexplained weight gain, and generally all over versus just in the midsection. They have a cold intolerance. Their nails can be brittle and there can be vertical ridges on them, stiff and dry hair, a hair that won't hold a curl anymore. So, I don't have that problem, but, women whose texture of their hair has changed, typically that's a sign of thyroid dysfunction. Puffiness around the eyes, a lack of short-term memory and focus, it's just a real hard time getting focused, brain fog, depression, dry skin, cravings for bread, pasta, and sweets, high cholesterol, loss of libido. In fact, I want to go back to high cholesterol because elevated cholesterol is one of the first signs of an underfunctional thyroid. Just so you know, that might be one of the first things you see on lab testing. Loss of libido, dry, cracked heels, that's another outward sign. So it's summertime now, and if you see people with dry and cracked heels, right, who aren't putting lotion on them or covering them up, that person probably has a thyroid issue. So you can even walk up to them and be like, hey, like, when's the last time I had your thyroid checked? I mean, I'm not suggesting that, but when you know this information, then you know how to help people, and sometimes it can be awkward approaching them about it, but it's always nice to know if you're experiencing these things, that these could be signs, and that way, of course, there's something you can do. Lowered motivation. What's interesting about thyroid is that it's closely connected to dopamine. So in order to make dopamine, you need vitamin B6, and you also need iron. And guess what? You need iron and B6 to make thyroid hormone. So if you're low, and you also need tyrosine. So if you're low, you're gonna experience dysfunction here, constipation. You can't get rid of the stuff that's toxic to your body, and that's going to create more problems. Thinning of the outer eyebrow. So if you see ladies kind of painting in that outer edge of their eyebrow, it's thinning on them, that's a sign of thyroid dysfunction. Of course, there could be an enlargement or goiter around the thyroid, and sometimes there could be nodules, which can be picked up on exams such as a palpation exam, or even a thyroid ultrasound. And the nodules on the thyroid are indicative typically of something called Hashimoto's, which is the #1 cause of thyroid dysfunction, but you're going to see why that can be corrected and how it can be corrected through this process. Also, there's a change in the voice because, of course, if you've got your thyroid's double the size, it's right there where your vocal cords are. So, of course, it's going to create a change in your voice. And there could also be pain. If the size of the goiter is significant enough, there could be pain when swallowing. And typically these people will get headaches and feel better as the day goes on. And they have a hard time starting tasks and completing tasks. So there's a lot of unfinished projects with these people. So when they even get the motivation or inspiration to start something, they may not finish it. And so that can be very discouraging as well. And that has a lot to do with dopamine, which is also connected to thyroid. So once again, I don't know if your number has changed or if your body type doesn't necessarily represent the symptoms, but for those of you that did choose a body type 1, 2, or 3, did the symptoms sound like you? So if the symptoms correlated with how you feel, did you find that these images were an accurate representation of the actual symptoms that you're having? So just type in yes or no, which is always great to get feedback, and I'd love to see if there's a match and correlation here. And I'm hoping that you don't have all the symptoms listed, right? So, if you've got all the symptoms, then certainly there's going to be a lot of work to do, but you probably had, let's say, half of the symptoms associated with the different body types. So we're getting a lot of yeses, right? And a lot of people saying that, maybe they're a combination of 2 of the body types, and that's okay. Usually people are a combination, and that's what we expect. So now that you have a better understanding of what your physical composition tells us about what's going on the inside, then the question becomes, okay, how do we fix this, right? Because knowing this is great, knowing the correlation is kind of cool. And it's kind of interesting because when I used to see patients one-on-one, I could have them walk into the room and I instantly knew what was wrong with them. And without even looking at their form, I could ask them, do you feel this, 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 and this? Are you experiencing this? And guess what? It would blow their mind, but it's really so valuable to know this information because you can understand the challenges that somebody might be facing. And, going back to the thyroid population, the people who represent that blue model there it's interesting because people with thyroid issues generally have a hard time, getting into the doctor's office because sometimes they feel that lack of motivation or that lack of inspiration. Somebody on the left in the red, that person is like a type A personality. They want things fixed. And sometimes people who are stressed out all the time, when they burn out, they turn into a different body type, like the thyroid type, for example. So, at different stages in your life, you might be a different representation here. The goal is always to uncoil this and uncouple this. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And we're going to go deeper into some of the reasons why this happened. So if this is fascinating to you, this is certainly fascinating to me. Type in yes, and I'll give you guys all a chance to get caught up here, and then we'll keep on going. All right. I'm loving the participation. I love the energy. You guys are awesome. Okay, so I've got somebody saying they've been trying to heal for years. Yeah, it's so much easier when you know what's going on. It's so much easier when you work with someone who can really provide you with a very, very deep understanding of your body, but make it simple and practical and applicable to you and show you results in a very quick way. And that's what I'm all about. I love working with people in a capacity that produces life-changing results for them. And not just for them, but also for their families. I want people to have amazing personal outcomes in their life, because that's what I want for myself. And if I want it for myself, then of course I want it for you. All right. So it's cool, right? Our body never lies, right? It's very accurate. And, symptoms are our body's way of communicating to us what's going on with it. So thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. So now that I know a little bit more about you, I'll tell you just a little bit about myself. I hope you can tell that I'm really passionate about sharing this information, because I feel that it's extremely valuable, and I feel like the world needs to know the stuff I'm going to share with you in the next 45 or so minutes, because if you can apply what we learn today, it's going to be transformational, not just for you. Okay, I want to help everyone around you, because if I can teach you how to change your behaviors and why you change your behaviors, and you can then role model that and teach that to people in your family, in your circle of friends, at work, right, or whatever your network of influence is, then guess what? That's how we're going to change the world. Okay, we're not going to change the world by waiting until people get sick and then fixing them and they've lost the best years of their life. Usually it takes you 15 to 20 years to develop a chronic illness. It doesn't happen overnight, even though it can feel that way sometimes, which means for 15, 20, 30 years, you didn't live your best life because nobody taught you how. So what makes me super passionate about this is I want you to live your best life possible. I want your kids to live their best life possible. And I want to do whatever it takes to keep you out of my office. That's kind of my core mission. What I believe is that the doctor of the future is the patient. And we're seeing that. The problem is that people don't know enough information. They know enough to make it dangerous, right? So what's happening nowadays is people are going on to Dr. Google. They have no idea what's going on with them. They know how they feel. And even in the hormonal imbalances you saw, there was a lot of overlap between the hormones. So people know enough to be dangerous. And we also know there's all this data coming out about Google and Facebook, and they want you to see certain things, right? So Google is in bed with some of these pharmaceutical companies. And so what ends up happening is people don't get the right information, and they don't know how to apply the information. So that's what I love doing. I love teaching people en masse how to live their best life possible. I love that my job requires me to live my best life possible, because I can't teach it to you or share with you how to do that unless I'm doing it myself. So I love that about me, and I love that the fact that I have to do it to model it for other people forces me, it doesn't force me, I want to do it to model for my son. And so my most important role is really to be the best father I can be, to be the best husband I can be, and I know that that requires my health. I regret saying this, but I've only missed one day of work in my entire career. And the reason I didn't go to work that one day was because I had the sniffles and I didn't want to get my patients sick. So I actually called off and I stayed at home, and I felt better the next day. I felt better later that day. But that's the only day of work that I actually missed. And so, if I don't know what that's worth to you, but that's worth a lot to me. My son, bless his heart, he's got amazing health. My wife has amazing health. And it's not by accident, right? It's not by chance. It's by the choices that we make. And I want the same for you. Somebody was asking me about a great pediatrician the other day, and we actually don't have a pediatrician, because we've taught our son how to take care of himself. We role model for him what's important, and he has amazing values. It's really amazing to see. And I get so many people messaging me saying how impressed they are by him, just by the behaviors that he exudes. And if you haven't read this book, it's called The Biology of Belief. I suggest you read it. The mind is in a very suggestible state between the age of 0 and 8. So I jokingly tell people, he's turning 9 now, my job as a parent is done. All of his values and beliefs have been installed inside of him, and he's good to go. I don't have to teach him anything. I've already taught him everything. And so it's not about what we teach our kids, it's about what we show our kids. And if you show your kids, you'll never, ever have to teach them. So that's the beauty of this lifestyle that we're going to teach you, is that we're going to show you how to role model it. So again, little bit about me. I could go on and on about myself. I've had some interesting, I've got many, many interesting stories to share. You know, I speak all over the world. I've written a book on practice management. I've written a book on functional medicine. I've written a book on motivation. So I love writing. Thousands of followers on Facebook, and many of you are those followers. So thank you for being here tonight. And, you know, my mission is to really empower as many people as possible to live their best life, but I want them to do it with the proper guidance and coaching, right? You know, we doctors went to school and we continue to go to school, right? Every week I'm learning something new. In fact, every day I'm learning something new. And because of my baseline understanding, I can know how to apply that information to myself. But if you don't have a basic understanding, then you know enough to be dangerous, not enough to be self-serving and helpful. So today I'm going to give you an opportunity to really help yourself and change your life. So briefly, I want to talk about the future of healthcare. I love functional medicine for what it is, but I don't believe that functional medicine is the future of healthcare. I believe it's a bridge, and it's the bridge that probably brought us all on this webinar together to actually collectively come together and change things, not only for ourselves, but for our communities. And so functional medicine can help people who have symptoms, who have issues, who have, you know, chronic conditions, but that's not really the future that I'm wanting to create. Like, I don't want anyone in my family to develop some sort of disease and then find a natural solution to it, right? I mean, ideally, I'd want them not to develop the disease in the first place. So, you know, the only way to benefit from a cure is to have that disease. So, for example, the only way to benefit from a cure for cancer, if there ever is one, is to have cancer in the first place. And so the only way to have cancer is to create it. Now, certainly we don't do that intentionally, but it's because of a lack of information or a lack of knowledge or misinformation that we don't know how to prevent these things. And so the focus of my work is really to focus on not prevention, but to focus on creation. You know, instead of trying to prevent a disease, because there's thousands of different diseases. I mean, how many different diseases are you going to try to prevent on a daily basis? Instead, focus on health and vitality. That's the future. Not getting sick, getting out of your pain body so you can experience the highest levels of human consciousness in your spiritual body, right? If we're stuck in pain, if we're stuck in suffering here in this physical body, it's hard to go to the next level of ascension and live your best life possible, right? So let's focus on creating health, creating vitality, because you shouldn't turn 50 and then learn how your body works, right? Because of a crisis type of scenario. It's like kind of like you learn how to drive a car, you know, before you crash it, right? You study for a test before you take the test. You don't study for it after you fail, right? And that's the thing, like, you're not going to learn this stuff in school. We don't learn anything about health. We don't learn anything about money, and we don't learn anything about food. And guess what? These are the most profitable industries in the world. So, you know, we intentionally are not taught this. So don't plan anytime soon anyone teaching you how to take care of yourself, because the current economic system would actually crumble if everyone woke up healthy tomorrow. Okay, so if every one of us on this planet woke up healthy tomorrow, a lot of people would lose their jobs. The stock market would crash, right? The economy would crumble and decimate into the ground. So a lot of people are invested in you being sick. Okay, so you've got to then invest in knowledge and information and practical application so you can stay healthy, because everyone's interested in you being sick. They're building nursing homes for some of you right now. Okay, you might not know that, but they are. That's where people are investing their money. They're investing it in your worst life, not in your best life. You've got to invest in your best life. So let's focus on vitality, okay? And what is health? You know, some people say health is wealth. Well, I mean, that's partly true. Health is everything. Without health, nothing matters, okay? I know people who are really unwell, and they would trade in all the money in the world. They would trade in all the stuff in their house. They would even trade in their house, you know, for an extra week of life, right? Or an extra year of life. Health is everything. So health is your business, health is your career, health is your contribution to society, health is your economic situation, right? Health is your contribution to your family, health is leadership and role modeling, health is everything, okay? And so if you want to give yourself an unfair advantage in the next, you know, in the moment now and every moment moving forward, get healthy. You know, so many people spend money on getting more education and more this and more that. Guess what? If all you did was get healthy, you would have an unfair advantage amongst everyone. If you want to give your kids an unfair advantage in school, get them healthy. And I promise you that that's going to be so much more valuable than any degree that they can ever get, is staying healthy, because you're going to see a collapse in people's health in the coming generation, and it's going to be tragic, but you can be somebody who actually helps create a better future. So let's focus on vitality. So can I get that commitment from you that we're going to focus today on health? And that's the focus of this entire presentation, is how do we create vitality? So go ahead and type in yes if that's your focus, and we'll keep going here. All right, you guys are excited. Are you guys excited about this? I know I'm creating all this buzz and hype. I hope I can live up to it. I'm certain I will. We're gonna knock it out of the park today. All right, thank you. This is so inspiring. I love it. See, I love doing these. You guys make it worth it. Thank you. All right, so really quickly, what is living proof? Living proof is more than, it's not a procedure, right? Living proof is the Tao. It's a lifestyle. And I want to share what living proof actually stands for. And so it's a combination of things. So it's an acronym for love, for intelligence, for vitality, for integrity, for nurturing, for gratitude, for being somebody who's playful, for being responsible, for being open-minded and open-hearted, for being optimistic and living a fulfilled life. That's what it means to be living proof. Okay, so living proof is an embodiment. It's a lifestyle. It's a way of life. It's the Tao, if you will. And so we want to make sure that that comes across. We're not a supplement company. We're mainly an education and human development company. Our ultimate goal is to help you become the best human that is possible, okay? And nobody's focusing on that. Everyone's focusing on waiting until people get sick and then helping them. And that's okay, we need that. And yes, if that's you, we can help you as well. But guess what? It's the same process, right? So in order to get somebody healthy, if that's the focus, vitality, you get them vital. What does it take to be vital? What are the requirements to be vital? And then what is the way of life that I'm going to have? What is the Tao, the way of life I'm going to live? And what's that going to mean to the world? Okay, so if all you want to do is be skinny and sit on the couch and flip through YouTube, then maybe I'm not the right person for you, because I'm looking for people who want to be out there changing the world because they have amazing health and because they want to live an inspiring life. Okay, so hopefully all of you want to be living proof. So why do most programs fail? So most programs fail. Most of you have probably tried other things. And the reason most programs fail is because they focus on prevention or treating symptoms. They don't focus on creating health. And they don't focus a lot of times on client education. And they don't focus on really digging deep into understanding why people do what they do and how to get them to do it. My goal is to change behaviors, not change the pills that you're taking. So, and I don't want you really taking any pills if you don't have to. The key here is most programs fail because they don't change behaviors. Okay, changing your diet is not changing your behavior, right? It's changing your diet. Changing your paradigm, that changes all of the behaviors that follow. So, somebody's saying here that it's hard not being influential in my own family. Yeah, of course, you have a huge impact on your family, right? And so, our goal here is really to, take things and help you live the best life that you possibly can. And most programs fail because that's not their focus, right? What they focus on is a number on the scale. What I want to focus on is a scale of the impact that you can have when you're functioning optimally. So there are a few overlooked factors that we see when it comes to helping people get their best metabolic health and their best physiological health. The first is hormonal dysfunction. We talked about that a little bit earlier, but I'll go a little bit deeper into connecting the three in just a moment. So our hormones, when they're out of balance, the communication system in our body is out of balance. And we're going to talk about a few other hormones. We're also going to talk about sympathetic dominance. So sympathetic dominance, as you'll see a little bit later, applies to all of us. And most of us, including doctors, okay, because I train doctors, that's what I do for the majority of my time, is training other healthcare providers. Most of them and their patients are sympathetic dominant. And I'm going to share with you definitively why you could never heal if you're sympathetic dominant. And the third one is mindset and lifestyle. So if your hormones are out of balance, you're sympathetic dominant, and your mindset and lifestyle are incorrect, then guess what? You're SOL, which is way out of luck, right? And so we want to get all three of these things in harmony. Sometimes people will take hormone pills or hormone supplements, but they don't change their sympathetic overdrive, or they don't change their mindset, or they don't change their lifestyle. So they might feel better for a little while, but then the results are very limited and they go back to where they were because they didn't change the behavior. So we're going to talk a lot about these three different concepts. So number one is hormonal dysfunction. So here's a great success story from one of our clients, and she went through the release phase of our metabolic and lifestyle program. And, this was amazing. She's lost 27.8 pounds, 24.5 inches, feels so much better. She has tons of energy to push herself to do everything that she wasn't doing before. Her knees feel good. So think about this is like a transformational difference for somebody, right? Their lifestyle is going to improve as a result of the weight coming off, the inflammation going down. And she just got back from a 10-day vacation, which she couldn't do before without major assistance. Okay, huge, huge, huge. And even during her phase while she was on vacation, she lost 7.5 pounds. So pretty amazing. And so we can see results very quickly because what we're doing is we're tapping into multiple systems in the body. And guess what? It works super, super fast. All right, so let's see how we get these kind of results. And so we want to go up to the central processing system, which is the brain. Okay, the brain houses a very important gland called the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus sends messages to the pituitary gland, which sends messages to the adrenal glands. And so this axis is known as the HPA axis. So I don't want you to get super, super confused by what that is, but the HPA axis essentially is the master system that regulates all of your hormones. So first and foremost, your hypothalamus will send a message to your pituitary gland, and your pituitary gland then sends a message to your adrenal. So let's talk briefly about what the hypothalamus does. The hypothalamus regulates your appetite. Your hypothalamus regulates your core temperature. Your hypothalamus essentially regulates your entire metabolic system. The hypothalamus sends a message to the pituitary gland, and the pituitary gland, when it's stimulated, there's two parts to it. There's an anterior and a posterior pituitary, and we don't have to worry about that today. But what the pituitary gland does is it controls your sex hormones. It also controls your thyroid hormone. So a thyroid stimulating hormone, for example, when your doctor tests that, is actually a pituitary hormone signaling the thyroid to increase its metabolism. The pituitary gland also communicates to our adrenal glands. So our adrenal glands are our body's fight or flight glands, and our body's glands that help us produce, cortisol and epinephrine and norepinephrine. And these are fight or flight, blood sugar regulating hormones. And so this axis is very critical because if our appetite is out of control, if our thermoregulatory system is out of control, if our mood is not balanced, then our hormones are not going to be balanced. Okay, so we're going to have excess or decreased production. And then we're also going to have potentially excess levels of stress. Most people need to reset this system. So when we work with clients in our metabolic reset and lifestyle reset program, this is the system that we reset. So think about your computer. I know this has happened to you at some point in time, even with your phone. One day it's not working, and then all of a sudden, I got to plug my laptop in 1 second. So sorry about that. So what ends up happening is your phone's not working properly, or your computer's not working properly, and you try to close the software, you try to open it up, and guess what? It's still not working until you do a hard reset. So a lot of us need to reset this system. We need to reset and re-regulate the thermostat of our metabolism. We need to re-regulate our sex hormone production. We need to re-regulate our stress hormone production, and kind of, hit that reset button. And I know a lot of you feel like that. You feel like, man, I wish I could just kind of hit the reset button with my metabolism and go back to how it was when I was 20. So how many of you would want to, reset your metabolism to when it felt its best? How many would want that? Sign me up. All right. Yeah, I mean, we all do, right? We all want to feel like we're 20 again. And here's the cool thing is you can. That's the beauty of it. Your body is constantly regenerating itself. It's constantly using your environment to control its physiology. It's constantly getting cues from your food, from what light's going into your brain, what you're listening to, what you're thinking, and your brain is constantly reorganizing itself and re-coordinating itself and your physiology. So this is available to each and every one of you, but there's a way that you actually do this, and we're going to talk about that today. So the HPA axis is very critical. Some of you may have heard of this, and it's often overlooked. Okay, so this is very critical to recognize. Okay, so I don't want to teach too much. I don't want to get too technical with you guys today. But this is something important to understand. So let's talk about resetting your hormones. So there's a few ways to do that. One is to balance insulin resistance. And so insulin resistance occurs because we produce way too much insulin, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. We want to improve sleep quality and quantity. You know, the average person used to sleep almost 10 hours a night. Okay, so before they invented the light bulb, we would sleep a lot more than we do now because our brain would be regulated by the sun's rising and setting. And if you go to tropical countries, for example, I went to Costa Rica a couple of years ago to speak at a conference, and it was crazy because the sun would be up at 5 o'clock in the morning and it would set at 5 o'clock in the evening. And you're like, what the heck? Like, where's the sun? Because they have a 12-hour sleep and wake cycle, or they have 12 hours of daylight, 12 hours of sunlight. So it's like a blue zone, right? And as Claire is saying here. So they have a way better circadian rhythm compared to how we do here in the north. I'm in Canada, so some of you might be closer to the tropics, and you know that the days can be longer and shorter at different times of the year. So that throws us off. But what also throws us off is the quality of our sleep because of our exposure. And I know the irony in me saying all this is that I'm in front of my computer at night, but normally I turn off my computer at 8 o'clock. So about 2 hours before my bedtime, I don't look at any computer screens or talk on my phone. Number 3 is eating balanced meals, okay? So if your meals are way too high in carbohydrates, it's gonna throw off your blood sugar, which is gonna throw off insulin, which is gonna throw off cortisol and throw your whole body in a swing. Your energy is gonna swing, and we don't want that. We also wanna practice strategic intermittent fasting, okay? So intermittent fasting, you may have heard of this, but you eat during a certain window of time, and when you eat, we're learning now, is actually more important than what you eat, okay? And I'm not saying that what you eat isn't important, but I do want you to know that the latest research is showing that how often you eat, okay, and the window in which you eat is more important than what you actually eat. But if you're eating healthy and you're eating in the right window of time, you're gonna see amazing results. And we see this with our patients and clients over and over again. And another way to reset your hormones and to help reset this axis is to lose weight. Okay, so when a woman especially gains weight, guess what? The more estrogen you have, the more estrogen dominance you have, the more weight you gain. And then it's just a cycle that keeps perpetuating itself. And for some people, even when they gain weight around the midsection, they feel like it's like an avalanche. It's hard to reel it back in. And so reducing your weight once and for all gets rid of all that inflammatory weight, right? When you've got a fire burning, like if I light a fire, that fire doesn't get smaller, it usually gets bigger, right? So the same thing happens with inflammation in our body. Unless we're doing something strategic, like intermittent fasting, to reduce that chronic inflammation that we have, that weight is just gonna keep climbing and climbing and climbing. And so this is where a lot of people get stuck. And so you can see it's more than just, hey, I'm gonna take thyroid medication, or I'm gonna take, a bioidentical progesterone or bioidentical estrogen. There's more to it than that. You have to really balance all of these things out. And you'll learn as we go through this why these are so important. Number 2 reason that's overlooked, and this is something that very few people actually talk about, but it's sympathetic dominance. And has anyone heard that term before? Is this new to you or is this familiar to you? So I just want you to type in new or I've heard this before so I can understand where to spend more time. Okay, so some people are familiar with this, and for a lot of people, it's actually new to you. And I'll probably explain it in a way so that it's new, it becomes new to you. And this is a good section to take notes in if you haven't already been doing so. So there's a part of our nervous system called the autonomic nervous system. So as I'm speaking right now, I'm not thinking about my heart rate. I'm not thinking about my breaths per minute. I'm not thinking about, my red blood cells being reborn. I'm not thinking about digesting my dinner that I had earlier. I'm not thinking of any of those things. That's all happening for me automatically. And so there's billions of processes right now that are happening in your body automatically for you. And, it's done by the autonomic nervous system. So the autonomic nervous system is what basically regulates all of our bodily functions aside from our thoughts. And our thoughts can control our nervous system as well. So here's what happens. When we live a stressful life, and stress comes from many different forms, so it can be relationship stress, it can be environmental stress, It could be toxins in your home. It could be toxins in your body that's stressing your body out. It could be, stress at work. It could be financial stress. It could be the kids stressing you out. And it could be a perception of stress. It could also be past traumas or PTSD that are creating a stress response in your body. When we're in a stressed out state, what our body does is it goes into a state of fight or flight, okay? When you're in fight or flight, the problem with that is that your body, remember, your body's smart, your body never makes mistakes. So when you're perceiving a stressful situation, okay, stress is really all about perception, then the body goes into a state of fight or flight immediately, okay? When we're in that state of fight or flight, there's a signal that goes out to every organ through a part of our spinal cord called the sympathetic chain ganglion. And the sympathetic chain, as you can see, sends a message to the entire system. Okay, so it sends a message to your lungs, to your saliva glands, to your heart, to your digestive system, to your liver, to your stomach, your pancreas, your adrenal glands, your kidneys, your uterus, your ovaries. Every single organ gets a message instantaneously when you go into a stress response. And guess what happens? Your body, instead of sending blood to the trunk, instead of sending blood to these organs that you're trying to heal, that you're spending thousands of dollars at your doctor's office or a naturopath's office or functional medicine office or even our office, you're spending all this money trying to fix these problems and these symptoms, but guess what? You're doing it to yourself because of the stress response. When you're under stress, these organs shut off and blood goes to your arms and legs because your body thinks you're in a fight or flight situation. So the moment you have cortisol and adrenaline and noradrenaline coursing through your body, the organs are going to shut down. In fact, when you're at rest, when you're in a state of parasympathetic, which we'll talk about in a second, 50% of your blood goes to your liver and kidneys. So guess how important your liver and kidney function is. If 50% of your blood at rest goes to that organ, it's probably super important. When you're under fight or flight, okay, so when you're stressed out, only 5% of your blood goes to your kidney and liver. So here people are living a super stressful lifestyle, taking super expensive or super fancy detox protocols or detox supplements, but they're not even sending blood and function to that organ system, okay? So it's like buying expensive water, if you will, and watering the wrong part of the grass and expecting it to grow somewhere else. Where you send blood flow is where you send function. So when we're under stress, another thing happens is that we live in the reactive part of our brain, okay? We live in the reptilian part of our brain, so we can't even make good decisions, okay? So when we're under stress, here's what happens. We can't make good decisions because we don't send blood to the prefrontal cortex. Our mouth becomes dry. We develop dental problems because of that. Our breathing increases. Our heart rate accelerates. Our liver function decreases. Our stomach and digestive function decreases. Our reproductive health decreases because having a baby is not going to save you right now. Kidney function decreases because clearing your kidneys out is not going to save you right now. Okay, so immune system shuts down. Blood sugar goes up. Okay, so what I'm describing to you is an intelligent response, but if that intelligent response is constantly firing and you're not really in fight or flight, but it's perceived stress, then guess what? You're going to be in trouble. Okay, so most people live in this chronically perpetual stressed out state, and there's ways to fix this. What people really want is not fight or flight, but what they really want to be in is a state of relaxation, repair, regeneration, restoration. And that's the exact opposite of fight or flight. So you can't be in fight or flight and heal your organs. It's physiologically impossible. It's kind of like watering the front yard and expecting the grass in the backyard to grow. It doesn't work that way, okay? So it's one or the other. And here's the thing. Here's a good example for you guys to really digest. When you go to the zoo, what happens at the zoo? And you look at the animals, they're just sitting around, they're doing nothing. They're parasympathetic, right? When we watch nature documentaries, they don't just show boring animals sitting around doing nothing, which is what they do 99% of the day. What they show is animals like in their fight or flight state. So we think that that's how animals live. Well, that's not how they live. The majority of their day, they're just relaxing, doing nothing, okay? And so we have the same nervous system as they do. We have the mammalian nervous system, and so we operate under the same guidelines. You can't negotiate with nature, right? Like if I have a plant that's wilting, I can't negotiate with the plant and say, hey, listen, plant, I'm gonna give you more sunlight to compensate for the lack of water, okay? It doesn't work that way. So our body needs to be in this parasympathetic state if we're trying to heal. And if you're not going to change this physiological state or work towards changing this physiological state, you're never going to get better. I don't care who you see, what you do, you're absolutely never going to get better. Now, here's a beautiful thing, is that when you're in fight or flight, all of your organs shut down. When you're not in fight or flight and you're in a parasympathetic state, which I'll show you how to get to in a second, all of your organs are healing. Okay, so you don't have to individually heal these organs. What you have to do is you have to change the switch of the nervous system, get it to be more parasympathetic dominant, and guess what happens? All of your organs start healing. The same blood goes everywhere. The way we do this is by increasing something called vagal tone. By stimulating your vagus nerve, which is a nerve in your brainstem, we can stimulate a switch of the nervous system from sympathetic dominant to being parasympathetic dominant. And so here's how you do that. One is by deep breathing. This is why all forms of meditation, yoga, tai chi, qigong, they're all focused on the breath. Now, they probably didn't know this at the time. Maybe they did, but all that does is stimulate the vagus nerve. And when you stimulate the vagus nerve, guess what? You stimulate all of these organs to start healing. Okay? This is why chanting is helpful, because you mechanically stimulate the vagus nerve. This is why humming can be powerful. This is why singing can be powerful. This is why talking to people can be powerful, because it mechanically stimulates that nerve. And this is why we feel better when we talk to people. This is why we feel better when we laugh, because when we laugh, we're stimulating our vagus nerve. So all the things that help you live your best life, right, are all stimulating your vagus nerve. This is why you feel better. And this is how you actually get better, okay? So if you're only laughing one day a week because you hang out with your friends on a Saturday night and the other 6 days you're miserable, then you're gonna be way imbalanced and you're never gonna feel better. I mean, how many of you feel better when you're on vacation? Just type in yes if you feel better when you're on vacation. Okay, so yes, 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 totally, every time. Yes, 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 sometimes. Okay, for those of you that say sometimes you got to come on vacation with me, we have a great time. And you know, everyone for the most part says they feel better. And what's the reason you feel better? I didn't change your genetics. I probably didn't even change your diet. Probably even worse when you're on vacation if you're honest with yourself. And guess what? You're probably you're feeling amazing like a couple days in, and then you go back to work when you come back or whenever it is, and you're back to where you were. But I didn't change anything about you. What I did change is your environment. I changed what you think about. I changed who you're hanging out with. I changed how much you're laughing. I changed how much time you're getting in the sun and what you're actually spending your daytime doing. And so that in and of itself tells you that when we're in a relaxed state, we feel better because we're actually healing and we're regenerating and we're repairing our body. And so I would postulate that you're probably better off spending a month on vacation than a month in the hospital, regardless of what condition you have. Okay, so it's way cheaper for the government to send you on an all-inclusive vacation for a month than it is to keep you overnight in the hospital for a day, right? So if we're looking at it from a cost standpoint, it's way cheaper to send you off somewhere where you have fun, you heal, you regenerate, you're happy, you're smiling, and you get parasympathetic. Okay, so these are some of the things that you need to do, and this is the big focus of what we work on with patients. You know, aside from the things I mentioned, there's other things that we help them do. Now, we talked about insulin a little bit earlier, and so when your cortisol is up, guess what else goes up? The insulin level in your body goes up. And so people who have weight gain, especially around the midsection, those people are going to be insulin resistant. And so insulin resistance can lead to aches and pains, weight gain, blood pressure elevation, high cholesterol, mood changes, cancer and aging, hormonal imbalances, and low libido. So anyone who's on insulin, you're almost guaranteed to have these problems, okay? So anyone who's taking insulin right now and their doctor says, you need to lose weight, it's almost impossible for that person to lose weight because insulin actually causes weight gain, right? It causes pain, it causes blood pressure to go up, it causes cholesterol to go up. I mean, these are all the things that insulin actually does in your body, in your physiology. And some of us have, doctors telling us to inject it 4 or 5 times a day. And a lot of that has to do with our stress levels, and a lot of that has to do with insulin resistance. And those are things that we can unwind and we can uncouple. One of the main functions of cortisol is to raise blood sugar, and one of the main functions of insulin is to bring blood sugar down. So these two dance with each other, and if you can get cortisol and insulin rebalanced, guess what? You're gonna live a long and very, very happy life. And the way you know that cortisol and insulin are balanced is through blood sugar. So one of the things that we have our clients do is they get a blood sugar monitor. So for 2 weeks, we'll track their blood sugar every 15 minutes, just a little sensor that they wear. And guess what? We can see how their blood sugar fluctuates with meals, with exercise, with walking, with an argument, with stress, with answering emails, all of these things. Your blood sugar isn't only affected by what you eat. That's a myth. Your blood sugar is mainly affected every time your cortisol is secreted. So if you're under stress constantly, you're going to have a chronically elevated blood sugar. Now, what does your doctor typically do when you go see them? They say fast for 12 hours, okay, and then come in and see me, and we're going to do a fasting blood glucose. Well, that doesn't really give us a functional idea of what's going on throughout the day. We're looking at your blood glucose first thing in the morning. Well, what's happening to it the rest of the day for the rest of the 6 months until you get it tested again? We want to know that, because if you can get that kind of biofeedback, you can start making some important changes to your lifestyle and start self-regulating and self-managing. And the cool thing is these tools are now available to us, and they're extremely, extremely affordable. So we teach our clients how to use these tools so that they can get much better long-term outcomes. Now, here's a client of ours that went through the metabolic and lifestyle program. And here's the cool thing. This is quite fascinating because he's a type 2 diabetic. He used to take 58 units of insulin 2 times a day. Okay, so imagine how hard it would be for someone taking 58 units of insulin 2 times a day to lose weight, right? Now, the other thing we talked about with insulin is that it's going to increase the risk of cancer. It's going to increase blood pressure. It's going to increase cholesterol. It's going to decrease libido. It's going to increase aches and pains. So people experience all of these challenges. And so guess what? Within days, he had to reduce his insulin to 10 units 2 times per day. By the 4th day of doing this program, he was down to once per day. And since Sunday, okay, he hasn't taken any insulin at all, and his blood sugar is more stable than ever. Now, you don't get on insulin unless all of the medical interventions up to that point have failed. So how is it that in less than a week, this person went from every single thing that his medical doctor could do for him to going on 58 units of insulin twice a day? And how did we uncouple that in an entire week? Like, think about that for a minute, right? I used to speak for the American Diabetes Association, and one thing I realized very quickly speaking for them is their goal is not to reverse or cure diabetes. Their goal is to create awareness around diabetes. So, not only do I not speak for them, but I'll never donate money to them for that reason. It goes against my values. I know that I can help people get off these, very toxic and dangerous medications by using some of the things that we talked about today, and then digging a little bit deeper into what's going on with them. And so we can uncouple and uncoil their issues, and in a short period of time, they can get amazing results. And you can see these results are nothing short of spectacular. So think about that. Like, that's pretty amazing that in a week, you could take someone who's on insulin and get them off it completely, okay? So a couple of you are asking, will this be recorded? Yes, it will be recorded. To watch the recording, it's $1 million. So make sure that whatever you're doing to log off here is worth $1 million, because that's what it's going to cost you. And that's cheap. Yeah, Claire, you're right. It is cheap. Okay. So how do we activate the parasympathetic nervous system so that we can balance cortisol, so we can balance insulin, so we can decrease our risk of cancer, decrease our cholesterol, decrease our blood pressure, increase libido, all the things that we all want? Deep breathing is one of them, okay? Now, not just any deep breathing. So I have a story that I'll share a little bit later, but maybe I'll share it now. One of my clients, she's a clinician, and we're working on helping her grow her business. And of course, that can be stressful times. Like, you don't get into functional medicine thinking it's an easy business. I mean, this is the hardest thing that I've ever done. And the same amount of energy and effort and time, if I were to put this into another business like real estate, I'd probably be making way more money, right? But I do this because I love it, and she does it because she loves it. And I always warn people, listen, this is not going to be an easy journey. You're going to be swimming upstream and trying to swim up waterfalls. That's what we do on a daily basis. So, we started working on her sympathetic tone. And the first thing I said is, I need you to get a heart math unit. And I want you to get a heart math unit to look at your HRV. I'll explain what that is in just a minute. What HRV tells us is if your body's in a sympathetic state or parasympathetic state. Are you healing, or are you destroying your body? Because remember, you can't do both at the same time. You're doing one or the other. So she was doing deep breathing exercises, but when she hooked herself up to the machine, she found out that her deep breathing exercises the things that she was doing that she thought were helping her manage her stress were not working at all. And it wasn't until she got her breathing right through the neurofeedback that she was getting through her heart math that she was able to get into that parasympathetic state and visually see what that looks like. That visual is super, super important, because if you're always stressed out, you don't know what it feels like not to be stressed out, and you might not know what it looks like not to be stressed out. So that visual, input can be extremely important for people, because it allows them to see what state of physiology they're in, and then they can get a sense of what that feels like and what it takes. We also recommend daily grounding. There's a couple ways that you can ground. I actually have a grounding sheet on my desk. So I'm connected to the Earth's electrical field, if you will, and I ground as many days as I can outside. I also sleep with a grounding throw. We talk a lot more about this in our course with our clients and why that's important. We also do HRV training. We train our clients on how to use this. My wife is a certified trainer in HRV. We also help people get rid of toxic relationships, or at least recalibrate their perception of those relationships, because toxic relationships sometimes can be very, very tough, right, to get rid of. But we help our clients work through relationships if that's necessary. Most relationship issues are miscommunications, and we work on communication skills with our clients because we know how much stress that can cause and how much disease that can lead to. Sometimes it's the things that we don't say that need to be said that can actually be creating a lot of stress internally in our bodies. And then, of course, inflammatory foods and inflammatory mindset. And so in the next section, we'll talk a little bit more about mindset, but that's super important, because how you live your dietary life and how you live your perception of the world is very important. If you think that everyone's out to get you, then guess what? That's what you're going to find everywhere you go. But if you realize that there's a lot of good people in the world and people are out here to help you, then you're going to have a different mindset. And guess what? You'll always find what you look for. So working on the mental attitude with people is very, very critical to their absolute success. And so, in addition, there's lots of other things. Let me just go back here for a second, because there's a comment that came in, and yes, remove toxic relationships, inflammatory foods, and we're going to talk about some of the cosmetics and cleaners and chemicals in just a minute in the next section, because that's going to tie into some of the lifestyle stuff that we talk about. So number 3 is really mindset and lifestyle. And this is not the focus of most programs, right? Most programs are so focused on what you eat. They're so focused on, the calories, or they're, hyper focused on the weight on the scale. And, that's great. I mean, people can get great results, but what we're focused on is, who do you become through this process? Not how little do you weigh through this process at the end of it, but who do you become through this process? Because if you become the best version of yourself, right, the best living version of yourself, the best thinking version of yourself, then you're going to change the world, right? If you're just a minier version of yourself, but your mindset and attitude is the same and your lifestyle is the same, guess what? The weight's going to come right back, right? Whatever your current state of health is, it's a result, okay? Whatever your blood work is, it's a result. Whatever your lab findings are, they're just results. They're results of your mindset and your lifestyle, and the interaction of these things with your physical and physiological body is what creates your actual health, okay? All right, circadian rhythm. And this is super important when it comes to your overall health and wellness. So when it comes to lifestyle, the first thing that we want to improve with our clients is their physiology, okay? And their physiology really starts with improving their circadian rhythm. Their circadian rhythm basically is the daily rhythm of their hormones, okay? So certain hormones are going to be produced in higher amounts during certain times of the day. And I mentioned the 2 most important hormones for you to really balance are cortisol and insulin. The third, and some would probably argue it's right up there with cortisol and insulin to balance, is melatonin. So if you want to fight cancer, if that's one of your goals, I mean, it really shouldn't be a goal to fight any disease. Your body, when your body, there's no war on cancer, there's no war on heart disease, there's no war on diabetes. Your body never fights back, right? So there's no war, there's no counter, retaliation from your body when you do what's healthy. So if you want to live your healthiest life, one of the best things for you to focus on is your sleep. That's actually one of the first things that we focus on with our clients is what is the quality of your sleep? Because the quality of your sleep is going to determine the health of your immune system. It's going to determine your blood sugar balance. It's going to determine how much testosterone and estrogen you're going to produce the next day. It's going to determine how much growth hormone you produce. So as I mentioned earlier, you see here, like the sun rises at 6 and it sets at 6, like it's that 12-hour day in Costa Rica. I know that's not always the case. You know, today in Toronto, the sun's going to set at like 9:30, so it can be a little bit later. And so there's fluctuations, I get that. But ideally, we want to have this nice circadian rhythm where we wake up at the same time every day and we wind down and go to bed at the same time every night. And so as the sun goes down, then we should start dimming the lights in our home and start signaling to our body that, hey, it's time for bed. If we have bright lights in our face, if we have the TV in our face, if we're overstimulated at night, we don't make enough melatonin. When you're stimulated in the evening, you're going to make more cortisol. As you increase cortisol production, your melatonin production decreases because the two are inversely related to one another. One is stimulating to your body, which is cortisol. The other one is relaxing to your body. So your body's not going to make both of these at the same time. That would be stupid. Remember, the body's smart. So as we wind down in the evening, we then increase our production of melatonin, increase our production of cancer-fighting melatonin, which is one of the most immunomodulating hormones we produce. It's not just to help us sleep, it's to help us modulate our immune system, and it's to help us get into that deep, relaxed state. So you want to preserve your melatonin production. Your melatonin is extremely valuable to your overall health. And guess what? The most parasympathetic thing that you can do is not deep breathing. The most parasympathetic thing that you could do is sleeping, okay? So the best results with any of our clients come based on the quality of their sleep. So what I do and what we teach our clients is there's a special device, and you can see it on my hand here, that I wear at night, and it tracks my HRV while I sleep. It tracks my level of recovery. It tracks my individual heart rate, beats in between my heart rates, the speed of that beat, okay, that's HRV, and I won't get too detailed with it. It's a complicated equation that comes up with it. I'll show you a picture of it in a second. But if you can regulate your sleep cycle, you regulate everything else. If your sleep is jacked up, your health is jacked up, okay? There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There's no negotiating that, okay? And so we teach all these things. Now, another thing that's important for your mindset and for your lifestyle is being in a state of coherence. And so what we see on the top of this is somebody who's out of coherence. We see somebody whose heart rate variability, you can see, looks like a jagged mountain, okay? Whereas you can see on the bottom, this person is in a state of coherence. Their body's in a state of parasympathetic function. So you can see one looks erratic and irregular, and that's the one that's what it looks like when you're stressed out. And the other one looks calm and relaxed. And you can see why the person on the bottom would probably experience much better health. Okay, so HRV is something that you can track using a heart math. It's also something you can track while you sleep using an Oura ring. So these are some of the devices and tools that we want our clients to use, and we share with them the exact products that we use when we coach them, because it's not just about getting the device, it's understanding what the data means. And so there's devices that allow us to bring this powerful understanding into your home, right? So you don't have to get blood work every 6 months or every year to figure this out. You have real-time data, okay? And so this is very critical to have that real-time data. Here's a testimonial I actually just got today from a client, and she's a teacher, so it's her second last day of school. She's got to go to school tomorrow. A dear friend of mine and somebody who I've known for many years, and somebody who's struggled with thyroid issues for many years, and just a really, really lovely person and really near and dear to me and my family. And I'm so glad that we were able to help her using this process. So what was really cool for her is that this reset program, hey buddy, this reset program has been a blessing in disguise for her, right? And she's lost 31 pounds, which was one of her main goals, was to lose some weight. But what she really noticed is her hair is stronger and better. Her nails are stronger and better, and they've actually grown in. And once she got her familiarity with the nutrition plan, it became very easy and motivating, especially with her weight going down. That's an easy thing to measure. But her sleep is better. And so what I know, that's very subtle for some people, but when I know somebody is sleeping better, I know that I've done my job. If somebody's not sleeping better, they're never going to get healthier, no matter what we do. So sleep is so critical, and the way you regulate your sleep is something that we teach in our program, because it goes beyond kind of the scope of this presentation today. But if you can get your sleep regulated, amazing amazing days await you. If you can't, then taking something to knock you out at night is not the answer. I mean, it might work temporarily, but the quality of your sleep is dependent not on whether you woke up at night or whether you passed out. The quality of your sleep is determined by how you feel in the morning. So, sometimes I'll ask people, how do you sleep at night? Like, oh my God, I sleep like a rock. Well, then I ask them the second question, which is, how do you feel in the morning? Like, oh my God, I feel so tired. I'm exhausted. I don't want to get out of bed. Well, okay, that tells me that your sleep is a problem, right? And so what happens when people don't sleep well, one of the key physical changes that we'll see with them is insulin resistance. We'll see weight gain, especially around their midsection. And this person can diet, they can exercise, they can do all the things they want, but they're never going to get results because they become insulin resistant, and that just spirals downwards into some major chronic health issues. So if that's you, if you're not sleeping well, then and if all we do through this process is help you sleep well, it's going to be life-changing for you, because that's the first step in really getting people healthier, is getting them to sleep well, and it all boils down to their circadian rhythm. So people ask me all the time, well, Sachin, this information is super valuable, and I would love to work with you, right? I would love to work with you and figure out how to uncouple and uncoil all these challenges that I'm having. You're speaking my language. I feel like you really understand, a simple way to get me healthier. And, I get that question pretty much every single day. And it's been many years since I've actually worked with patients one-on-one. So believe it or not, it's actually been about 3 years since I've worked with clients one-on-one. And the reason for that is because I spend most of my time training practitioners. But I'm so inspired and I'm so passionate about really, changing the narrative of healthcare, building an army of people to really take their health to the next level and make a better world, right? Like, I'm not going to be around forever. I don't think any of us are going to be around forever unless something radically changes. But I want to leave the world a little bit better than I found it. So, I'm doing this because I'm inspired. I feel called to do it. I feel called to inspire others and teach them what I know, because, if I only teach it to doctors, that may eventually get around to you, but it may not get around to you. But if I teach it to you directly, then you can doctor yourself to better health, and we can really, move the needle forward. So it's become my mission to help as many people as possible. And I do know, and many of you probably agree, that this is extremely valuable information that you may not have heard. And maybe you've heard it, but maybe it was repackaged in a way that made sense to you. And recently I spoke at a doctor's conference at the North Carolina Integrative Health Symposium. And this knowledge was like new to a lot of people, right? It was new to me at one point. It's probably new to many of you that were on this call today. And of course, we can go deeper, right? Like, we teach this in a 10-week program, and I'm only giving you about an hour and 15 minutes. So if you spend 10 weeks with me, I can really, really transform your life. So that's what we're going to be doing, actually. My wife and I, we're just so passionate about helping people that we said, let's take 30 people who are extremely passionate about their health. Let's show them, everything that we can in a 10-week period. Let's give them all the tools. Let's pull everything out of our treasure chest and share it with them. All the things that we personally do. If you ever come to my house, you'll see everything that I tell you to do. Every piece of equipment that I tell you to buy, I personally own, I use on a regular basis, and I'm going to make that available to you. I'm going to teach you over a 10-week period exactly how to live the living proof lifestyle, and how to get rid of those extra pounds, how to get rid of the inflammation, how to get rid of the toxic mindset, how to rebalance your nervous system, how to improve your digestion and immunity and prevent, not prevent diseases, but create really your best life possible. Because I know that that only way that's going to happen is by you taking full responsibility over your health, not waiting until you get really sick and really broken and then coming to see us or going somewhere else and then trying to get your health back. I mean, the saddest thing to me when a young couple or a mother or even a father comes in and they're unwell and they have young children, what I know is that what they've role modeled to their kids has not been the right thing, unfortunately. And a result of bad role modeling, their kids might end up with the same diseases. So if we can change that, if we can change how you're role modeling for your family, then a lot of things will change. Your life will change. The next generation will change, and that's what the future of healthcare is now, right? It's not like waiting for big pharma to come up with some sort of cure, right? And then you have to develop that disease to benefit from that cure. Let's create the best species possible. Let's create the most awakened and most conscious human population that we possibly can. That's my mission, you know, and if that's what your mission is, then stay tuned. And if that is what you're looking for, then I'd love to hear a heck yes. Like, if you want to live your best life, if you want to leave this planet better than you found it, if you want a role model for your family, if you want to change the world in a positive way, you know, if you want to live a life of health and vitality, not waiting until you get sick and then, you know, planning for them to have some sort of obscure cure for you that costs thousands of dollars a month or thousands of dollars a year. I mean, that's not the future that I want. That's not the future that I want to create. That's not the world that I want to leave behind. The world that I want to leave behind is one where people are healthy, they're vibrant, they have vitality, they have certainty, they have confidence. And it's not to say that you'll never need a doctor, but why do you need a doctor when you're 40? Right? You should need a doctor maybe when you're 80 or 90, right? Wouldn't that be beautiful, right? You don't have to like start seeing doctors in your 40s and spend time away from your family and not know how to take care of yourself. Well, let me teach you how to take care of yourself. Let me and my wife teach you, and our Living Proof team teach you how to take the best care of yourself, because we don't want to see you in our office. If we can help it, that's our mantra. If we can help it, we don't want you in our office, right? We'd love to help you, you know, with a strategy that keeps you out of our office. But when you do come in and see us, we're going to always give you the best care possible. I mean, that's our mission. We're always committed to delivering only the best care possible. So what I'm going to talk about next, since many of you want more information and have stuck around and have listened to me, you know, share my passion. And I know that many of you are just as passionate about health as I am, and that's why you're here. That's why you've joined us tonight. And I'm going to share with you the Metabolic and Lifestyle Reset Program, which is really designed for you. Okay, these are the things that over the course of 15 years and over the course of probably about $250,000 of education and many, many weekends away from my family, I've learned the principles that are the most helpful, that are the most needle-moving things that you could possibly do. Okay, and guess what? They're super simple, but guess what? Somebody has to teach them to you. Okay, and so it's not going to be you piecing it together on Google. It's not going to be you, because this information isn't there. Like, you guys don't realize this, maybe you do, but most of the information is censored, right? So there's stuff that we don't even say publicly, that we only share in our private groups or in our coachings that we do, because it'll get us in trouble, right? It's interesting what's happening to some of the big players in the natural medicine world right now. And so, you know, what you're getting right now in terms of information, if you think you're getting the truth online, if you think you can Google your way to health, good luck. It's not happening. A computer can't teach you can't show you how to live your life. A human being has to show you how to live your life. And it's an important part of our brain function that we have called mirror neurons. When you watch somebody do something, a couple things happen. You realize that they're just as capable as you are, and you're just as capable as they are, and your brain instantly starts being able to replicate that behavior. When somebody who's doing something teaches you how to do it, you know it's possible for you, and you know that person can actually help you, and they have the integrity to be able to help you. So this program is really designed for people who are ready to learn, and not just ready to learn, but ready to show the world what they're capable of. And it's really built around a few different ideas and concepts, which some of these you might be familiar with. You know, it starts with a great history. We always want to know what's going on with you, not just physically, but also emotionally. Your emotional health is extremely critical. And we often find that the emotional aspect of health is what leads to the physical aspect of health, and in some cases, illness and disease. We also believe in the power of community. You know, I've spoken all over the world, including Guernsey, where I spoke at the Journey to 100. And the focus of that conference that I spoke at was to teach the country how to live the longest life possible. And all the researchers that were there, including myself, agreed that the #1 predictor of health is community. So we're actually doing this program in a community and tribal type of setting, because we know how important community is. We also know how important coaching is, and having guidance and mentorship, and somebody who's, you know, showing you the way, right, through the way they live their life. And then we also look at performance, right? Like, what is your state of performance and your viewpoint on the world? And then lifestyle, of course, balancing hormones. We talked about fasting. You know, you may not realize this, but there's actually a new study that's coming out. We've partnered with a company, and this company has done $41 million worth of research and has shown that fasting is actually more effective than chemotherapy for treating people with breast cancer. So that research, I can't say the name of the company, but what I can tell you is that this research is groundbreaking. So we incorporate this because we know if something can reverse cancer in your body, what can it do in a healthy person? It can do a lot more. We also like data. And so data is very critical because it allows you to be self-managing and self-regulating. Of course, balancing the microbiome, we all know, and then reward. Rewarding yourself for these positive behaviors is a way that we actually promote healthy behavior. So all these strategies are something that we discuss in the Reset program. So, why is this unique? It's really a mental and physical transformation. It's not just focusing on calories. It's not just focusing on the scale. It's really how do we elevate you to a whole new level of physical and mental well-being. The results are permanent weight loss and really permanent health. That's what we want for you, not just temporary. It addresses and corrects the cause, not the symptoms. We go all the way upstream as far as we can go to get to the underlying emotional mechanisms, the physiological mechanisms, the autonomic and nervous system mechanisms that are creating health or disease. And it can be done remotely by everyone, okay? That's our goal. Our ultimate mission is to bring health into people's homes. And so anyone can do this program no matter where you live in the world. And that's the beauty of this as well. It doesn't require exercise either. So we actually, for a variety of reasons, and we go deeper into this when you join the training, but we actually encourage you not to exercise because exercise is a sympathetic dominant activity. And so a lot of people who are already sympathetic dominant go into the gym, become even more sympathetic dominant, and guess what? It just creates more challenges for them. So all of the results that you saw today, and there's dozens and dozens of other people who have amazing results. I didn't even show the results of a gentleman losing 70 pounds in about 12 weeks. He did it all with that exercise. By resetting that button, like hitting that reset button on your computer, everything starts working better. We also offer a supportive network and group accountability. And of course, you eat real food, which develops sustainable, healthy habits, right? And of course, when I'm talking about exercise, yes, we actually encourage going for a walk. We encourage spending time in nature. So we'll talk about the activities that you would replace that with, but intense exercise is actually not advised. I mean, that's not advised in general because that's not how exercise should be, especially if you're trying to heal and repair and regenerate. And unless you're a professional athlete and you get paid to exercise, or a whole team or city relies on you being in the best shape humanly possible, it's probably overworking you. And that's one of the nice things about having an Aura ring is we can identify if you actually are overtraining or overexercising based on your recovery on a daily basis. So here's what's included in the program. It starts with a 30-minute comprehensive metabolic intake. And so we want to listen to your story. We've got an intake form that you're going to fill out. I'm going to go through it. My wife will go through it, and one of us will get on a call with you, depending on the schedules. And we'll go over this form with you to really understand what your goals are and how to get the results for you as quickly as possible. You get a weekly live Facebook Q&A, so you can ask us whatever questions you want. We're going to provide you daily tips and accountability in our private Facebook group. And you can also direct message me and or Dipa, and you have direct email access to us as well. So you have me in your back pocket for 10 weeks to ask me the questions that you need to so that you can move the needle. And again, as I mentioned, I don't work with clients one-on-one, so this is a way for you to have access to me directly and get all those questions answered as they relate to the program. Here's an example of a healthy meal that somebody would have. We have programs for those of you that are vegetarian, for those of you that are vegan, and those of you that are not. We've got a variety of different options for you. What you also get with this program is you get 50 sachets of organic Ganoderma infused coffee or tea. And so what we love about this is that you get the benefits of one of the most researched medicinal mushrooms on the planet. This is actually one of the things I spoke about at the conference, and it was mind-blowing, the research I shared with people about Ganoderma, which is also known as reishi. So we're going to infuse your body with this goodness. You're also going to get a metabolic support spray, which is a spray that resets that HPA axis that we talked about. So the spray is actually like the reset button. It signals to your hypothalamus, pituitary, and adrenal glands that, hey, everything is great. Let's recalibrate to the factory settings. And this is one of the reasons people lose tremendous amounts of weight because, again, the HPA axis regulates that. It also regulates your sleep, and it regulates your adrenal and stress output as well as your thyroid. So all those hormones we talked about, all those hormone imbalances that we talked about in the beginning whether you're body type adrenal, body type estrogen, or body type thyroid, this spray rebalances it because it works all the way up in the brain, not just in the gland itself. It's working at the brain level, at the master gland level. You also get a living proof metabolic guide, so we teach you exactly what to eat, and we give you recipes as well, so you'll get those. And then you also get a personal food scale, so you can start recalibrating what a normal sized meal is. And then all of this that you get in this program is all for $14.99 Canadian. So what you'll do, I'll just share with you in a second how you're going to get access to this. And this is only available to 30 people. So this program is not available to everybody. It's only available to the first 30 people that sign up, because I'm just one person. So I can't take 100, and there's like almost 200 of you on this call right now. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to give me 1 second here. I'm going to share a link with you where you can go, and if this is the right timing, and if this is the right program, and this is the right journey for you, then let's do this. Let's rock this out. And I promise you that I'm going to help you live a life that you never even imagined. The key here is to understanding that you're investing in your best future self. You're investing in an amazing life ahead of you, and you're investing in your entire family, because the stuff I'm going to teach you, your whole family can start applying immediately. So let me take a few questions. If you have any questions, I'll take those, and then I'm going to share the link. So as I mentioned, who is this for? This is for somebody who's committed, somebody who realizes that there's another level, and I'll tell you a simple secret, there's always another level. Somebody who's in it to win it, somebody who's coachable, somebody who's teachable, somebody who wants to live their absolute best life and role model that for their family. Who this is not for, okay? This is not for somebody who's got like cancer, right? This is not for somebody who's completely debilitated and they can barely function, right? There's other programs for stuff like that. It's also not for people who are always making excuses. It's also not for people who are, constantly looking for someone else to blame. It's not for people who don't take ownership. It's for people who take extreme ownership over their outcomes and are willing to learn and are willing to be coachable. And then, people ask how much weight will they lose? Well, it depends on the person, right? So you'll lose the amount that you need to lose in the given amount of time, and then we reevaluate. Really, of course, people who are more overweight are going to lose more weight. People who are thinner are going to lose less. One of the examples I gave you is somebody went down from 212 pounds to 143 pounds. They lost 69 pounds, and I don't think they would have ever imagined losing that much weight that quickly, but guess what they did? It's because their body got rid of all this inflammation that it was holding on to. So depending on what you weigh, depending on how inflamed you are, and depending on your commitment level to this, your weight levels are going to fluctuate. But on average, people lose anywhere from 20 to up to 45 pounds in 6 weeks. What do I eat? So we go over this in a little bit more detail. You're going to eat healthy whole foods. So all the foods that you're going to eat are, there's no packaged foods, there's no shakes, there's no pills. There's none of that in this program. How long is the program? So there's 2 components to this program. There's a 6-week rebalancing phase, and there's a 4-week maintenance phase. So that's the core program. And in that 10 weeks, you're going to learn so many different tools and strategies. We're going to package it up into a course for you, so you'll have lifetime access to that information. And the rest of it is the application of that information. If you've got more weight to lose, then we would reevaluate to see if a second or maybe even a third round is appropriate. And the second and third rounds are significantly less because we've done a lot of the heavy lifting from the very beginning. Another question that comes up is why no exercise? Well, it's because, again, most people are sympathetic dominant. And, if you're looking to, really benefit from this program and recalibrate that system, then we suggest that you minimize or don't do any intense exercise, but you can do things that you enjoy to do for fun. So if you enjoy hiking, then by all means go for a hike. If you like walking your dog, then walk your dog. I just don't want you doing wind sprints or lifting weights intensely or doing the Biggest Loser challenge, because it's gonna backfire. And actually, some of you might not know this, but I was a consultant for people who were defects of the Biggest Loser, and they came to see me and they were a metabolic mess because they were just overtraining and over-exercising. We don't want to do that, okay? And then the question is, when do I start? So we're doing this as a group. As I mentioned, there's only room for 30 people, and we're going to be starting July 15th. So that gives you a couple of weeks to get it all out of your system if you want to, because we're going to hunker down on July 15th. It gives us enough time to do our consultations with you before the program starts. And it also gives us enough time to get all the products and everything shipped out to you so that you can have access to it. And of course, you can get started on the 15th. And we do this as a group because we're doing this as a community. We're doing this as a tribe, and we're going to be there to support you and support each other. And it also allows us to deliver the best possible experience for you. And we also know there's a few big holidays coming up, like July 1st in Canada and July 4th. So we wanted to give people some time to get access to the information, do our consultations, and then head out there. And then another question came up, which is, what if we're on vacation? Well, it's even better if you're on vacation, because imagine you're eating healthy, you're balancing your nervous system, you're regulating your parasympathetic tone. The best place to do it is actually on vacation, right? So you're actually, now your vacation isn't an expense, it's an investment in your actual health. So very important part of that. A question also came up about blood work. Should you choose to have blood work done, we can give you a list of labs that you can have your doctor run. We don't have you do blood work as a mandatory part of this program because we know you're going to get better. Like, you're not going to get better as a result of this. So if you decide to do pre and post blood work, then by all means, we can give you the labs that you should run on yourself so that you can at least get a baseline. Many of you probably already have a doctor that you're seeing, and you can use that as your baseline, and then you can do some follow-up blood work after that. And so, how do we get started? Another fast action bonus, actually, this is actually a great value. So for this round of people that are going through this, we're actually gonna buy you a inner balance. So the inner balance is a heart rate variability tracker. This is like one of the most researched and most powerful tools at regulating your autonomic nervous system. And we're gonna give that to you. It's a $170 value, but we've got a great partnership with HeartMath. Dipa is a HeartMath instructor, and so she's going to be training you on how to actually do the HeartMath itself. I mean, just the HeartMath training is $1,500. So she's going to train you on how to use the HeartMath. You're going to get a unit, and it's going to be perfect for you. And we also give you a guarantee, right? So if you join this program, you take action, you fully participate, and you reach out for help when you need it, and you're honest, and you have high integrity, and you go through the process, and for whatever reason it doesn't work or you don't get realistic results, then I'll give you your money back. I actually don't need your money. That's the cool thing about this. I literally don't need your money, but I'm excited and inspired to help people. So if it doesn't work for you, then maybe you can use that money to find something that does work, or maybe we can apply it to a more integral program, or a program that does a deeper dive. But I'm happy to do that for, we've only ever had to refund one person, and it's because they had something deeper going on, and we did, right? We sent them a refund, and all was well and good. But everyone else has had amazing results. So we stand by this product. We stand by this because we know it works. I mean, we're living proof that it works, and our patients are living proof that it works. So you get 100% money back guarantee if you don't get decent results or realistic results. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you to go to this particular link. I'm going to post it in the comments section, and what you're going to do is you're going to go here and you're going to get registered. And like I said, there's only 30 spots. And so when you go to this link, you're going to choose the country that you're in. If you're in Canada, then it's $14.99 plus tax. Okay, we got to pay for Justin Trudeau's water bottles. So it's $14.99 plus tax. If you live in the US, it's only $11.27. So you're getting like literally $250,000 worth of information for $1,127. And it comes with a money back guarantee. So you work with me and my wife for 10 weeks. We're gonna hold nothing back. We're gonna teach you the best strategies that we know on how to stay healthy, how to stay vital, how to stay vibrant. And you're gonna enjoy the benefits of that, not just for the 10 weeks, but really for a lifetime. So the benefits that you're gonna get are gonna be forever. So go to that link, and if there's any questions, you can post them in the Q&A, and then once those 30 spots are gone, they're gone, because we've got to get the kits out to you. So the sooner you act, the sooner we can get the materials and everything out to you and get you started. So any questions that you have, I'm happy to answer them, and then we'll wrap things up and make sure everyone has an amazing night's sleep. All right. So somebody's asking, will there be a replay? Yes, there will be a replay. Will I be doing this again? I don't know if I'll be doing it again. I'm doing this because I feel inspired to do it, and I wanna do it right now. So who knows? My schedule is always super, super busy, but I've carved out 10 weeks to help you guys out. So we may or may not do it again. It may be somebody else from my team doing it, or it might be my wife doing it, but this is my 10 weeks that I'm going to be doing it. All right. I'm in Toronto. Where do I go to fix hormone problems? Endos just give synthetic drugs. Well, you join this program and we'll balance those hormones out for you. Really simple, okay? Generally speaking, how do you help a client progress through your program? Honestly, sounds like my only hope at this point. If you're suffering or managing not well, quite serious and significant complex illnesses, side effects, and symptoms leading to very low functioning, minimal physical strength, that will likely inhibit full participation and implementation of the program strategies, at least currently. So everything that we're going to teach you is actually really simple, okay? Nothing that we're going to tell you to do is going to be super complicated. So, but if you're, if you've got like a stage 4 cancer diagnosis, which I hope none of you do, then this isn't the right program for you, right? Or if we get on a call and we feel like you need to go a little bit deeper, or this isn't the right program, or we're not the right fit for you, we'll let you know that as well. Like, we're interested in working with you if you're the right fit, because we can't work with everybody, but we always want to work with people who we can get results with. And especially if we're guaranteeing the results, we want to make sure that we can deliver on what we say we can deliver, and that you have a realistic expectation as well, so that you don't go through this process only to find out that it's not the right fit for you. And we're pretty good at recognizing early on who's a good fit and who isn't. And I think I've been pretty clear about that as well. Like, if you're motivated, you're inspired, and you really value your health and you want to learn valuable information that you're not going to learn anywhere else. Like, we don't share all this stuff publicly. We just can't. We share it privately with our clients. Then it's going to be groundbreaking information for you, and it's going to, literally, it's going to save you thousands of dollars down the road. So it's an investment really in your family's health, and it's going to be value that lives on forever. So another question is, the metabolic spray low dopamine. Maybe the question is, does it help with low dopamine? Well, dopamine, it can be a little bit of a complicated topic, and it depends on where the low dopamine issues are coming from. But one of the things that it does do is it rebalances some of the factors that are responsible for producing dopamine. So one of the things that dopamine is a catecholamine, and when your stress levels are high, you break down dopamine into epinephrine and norepinephrine. So if your stress levels are high, your dopamine levels end up being low. So if we can get you more parasympathetic, you're producing less of those stress, fight, or flight neurotransmitters, you have more dopamine pools to work with. And we also talk about reward. That's another thing that we talk about in this program. And if you're not properly rewarding your behaviors, which most people don't do, they usually beat themselves up. If you're not properly rewarding your behaviors, you're not rewiring the brain. So we talk about all of these things so that you can anchor your success and you have long-term outcomes. And then, of course, when you see results, when you see the scale moving, you're motivated, right? You're motivated to continue moving forward, as we saw with one of our testimonials. Another patient, or another client rather, is asking, I don't need to lose weight. Is this program still right for me? Absolutely, this program is right for you, because this program isn't just for weight loss. It's for people who want to balance their nervous system. The secret to getting the weight off is balancing the nervous system. And as I mentioned, some people, they don't always wear their imbalances. Some people are kind of struggling on the inside, let's say, or some people just want to get optimized. Right? So I've done this program myself, and it wasn't because I wanted to lose weight, but it's because I wanted to be optimized, right? So I've taken the spray and I've done the intermittent fasting and so on and so forth. And I've saw amazing results, and I continue to benefit from those amazing results because I continue to live the lifestyle and practice the strategies that we teach. So yeah, that's, those are some of the things that we work on. So any other questions for me before we wrap things up? We will send you a recording. Once those 30 spots are gone, they're gone. So, it is what it is, guys. I'd love to help all of you, but there's almost a couple hundred of you on this call, so I literally can't help each and every one of you as much as I would love to. So if this is you, you're interested, you're ready to take it to the next level, then let's work together and we'll rock this thing out. Question is, are we going to meet weekly as a group? Absolutely. So we're going to have a scheduled time where we're going to meet. Of course, it's going to have to be a time that works for us, because we want to deliver the best content possible consistently with you. And then we're going to try to keep it around lunchtime, so Eastern time, so most people are at lunch. And then the opportunity also exists for us to record it and share this with you. You can also post your questions for the Q&A in advance. So if you know you can't be there, let's say one of the 10 Fridays or whatever day it ends up being, we'll survey everyone. If you can't be there, then guess what? You can watch the recording and we'll be sure to answer your question as well. So we're going to do our best, obviously, to accommodate everyone. All right. Another question is, does the program details change between men and women or current weight? So there will be slight changes in our recommendations. There's core elements of the program that are going to be the same for everybody. And that's why we do it together as a group. But then that's where we get on that individual consultation with you to really figure out what's necessary. So we'll be able to dive a little bit deeper into your individual needs and then make recommendations based on that. And the recommendations that we're always going to make are going to be lifestyle recommendations and mindset recommendations, as well as kind of nutritional recommendations. So we're not going to make medical recommendations to you because that requires a different level of engagement. So what we do know, though, is no matter what medical condition you have, getting parasympathetic and rebalancing this entire system that we're talking about is going to be your key to healing and regenerating your body. I have an on and off immune system issues, gut issues. Does this program help me in this area? Yeah, so absolutely it does, because all of these things you talk about are sympathetic dominance problems, right? Your immune system shuts down when you're under stress. Your GI function shuts down when you're under stress. And so recalibrating that system is not just going to help you with the gut issues and immune issues. It's going to help you with everything. It's going to help your heart. It's going to help your liver. It's going to help your detoxification pathways. It's going to help reproductive function. So all of these systems are going to start getting better. Okay, another question is, I have gallstones. Will this be a problem? We haven't seen this be a problem with people who have gallstones. So I don't think so. The nutritional plan that you're going to be on is not going to be high in fat. So that's going to be helpful for you. You're not going to put a lot of strain on the system. And the other thing too is that one of the reasons, and this is just a little fun fact here, one of the key vitamins and vitamins for gallstones is vitamin B6. So when your vitamin B6 is low, it causes a crystallization of your bile, and your bile basically turns into stones. And so one of the main depleters of B6 is actually stress. So as we lower stress, as we get you more parasympathetic, then it's going to actually help in reducing the formation of future stones. And another big problem is magnesium deficiency, which magnesium is also depleted under chronic stress. So, these are things that we can discuss in more detail. And, we'll get on a call with you to kind of iron out specifics, because chances are if you have gallstones, and there's probably other things that we want to investigate a little bit further to make sure that it's not going to be a challenge for you. So if you do join the program, we get on the consultation, and for whatever reason we figure out that this isn't the right fit, we'll refund your money on the spot. So no worries about that. We operate with the highest integrity, and we want to make sure that if you're investing 10 weeks, that we can knock it out of the park for you. That's our ultimate objective. And to turn all of you into ambassadors and raving fans of what we do, that's our primary goal here. Okay. All right. I appreciate all of you. I appreciate all the great feedback that everyone's offering. Thanks, Amit. I see that he wrote that you have an excellent attitude, shows that you've undergone the program successfully. Yeah, I mean, I'm not just, it's that hair club for men thing, right? I'm not just the representative, like I'm a client myself, right? And that's why we call it living proof, because ultimately our objective is to role model what this, new world looks like, right? By being the best version of ourselves. And you want to live a life where other people are like, okay, what's up with that guy, or what's up with that gal, right? And they start asking you questions, and then that's really what opens up doors and conversations is being happy and being healthy and being vibrant and being a great role model for your community. That's what I want for all of you. And guess what? If you can see that in me, then I can help install that into you. And that's what mentorship and guidance and doing this is all about, is getting you guys and gals as healthy as possible by being a role model and example for you. And so I really love this journey, because it forces me in a positive way, right? You're not twisting my arm to be healthy, but it really forces me to take full ownership and accountability of my own actions and thoughts and so on and so forth. All right, someone is saying, can a person in this program be part of this program if they previously were on a metabolic program and were not successful but need assistance again? Yeah, of course. Here's the thing. There's what this version of this program is going to be is it's going to be radically different. So if you've worked with other people and you've worked on your metabolism, if you've worked on losing weight before, this is going to be completely different. We stand behind it. It comes with a money back guarantee. We're going to coach you through this process. You get access to me and my wife for 10 weeks. I mean, we coach hundreds of doctors ourselves, so we can definitely coach clients through this process, and we know it works. We're taking the best of the best of the best information that we have, and we're delivering it to you. And if this doesn't help you, yes, we can dig a little bit deeper, but I'm almost at a loss if this doesn't move the needle significantly in the right direction for you. Or there's something missing if this doesn't help you get healthy and significantly move your health in the right direction. Another question is, how do you go about the issues of bioindividuality regarding eating recommendations? So that would be something we would discuss one-on-one with you, right? And we would, understand a little bit better what your guidelines are, what your restrictions are, and then we would, help you formulate a program. The meal plans and the recipes that we give you are pretty easy. They're hypoallergenic. There's no gluten in them. There's really no grains. So we're minimizing the intake of foods that we know are potentially inflammatory for the average person. But if there are certain ingredients that you can't have, then you can modify the recipes accordingly. So in our more expensive programs, we do go through personalizing the diet and creating a 2-week meal plan for you based on the individual ingredients that you avoid, and we can create recipes and stuff like that for you from that as well. But this is not that program. So if you want to go 100%, bio-individualized and do some deep testing and evaluation and work, then we do that as well. But this is going to be really focusing on mindset, on lifestyle, on autonomic tone, which, if you get all these things right, then the diet, your allergies and sensitivities decrease significantly. Most people's food sensitivities are actually caused by a leaky gut, which is caused by sympathetic dominance. So if you're stressed out all the time, your gut's going to be leaky, and you're going to have tons of food allergies and sensitivities. All right, another question came in is, through Living Proof, how can I get connected, started to dive into my deep, highly complex issues? So please send me an email if you want to go a little bit deeper. My email is sachin@becomeproof. You should have gotten an email from me earlier to register for this. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have and point you in the right direction. All right. These are great questions. Let's see. All right. Does anyone else have any questions before I wrap things up? All right. So for those of you that know me, and for those of you that don't, my love language is words of affirmation. So what I would love is, let's share something positive from this journey that we went on together in the last hour and a half or so. Let's spread some love in the world. Let's spread some light in the world, and share, a thank you or whatever it is. Show your gratitude, show your appreciation, because the things we appreciate in our lives expand. So if you found this information, beneficial for you, if you find this program and process is going to be highly beneficial for you, I'd love to have you join us. And this really should be a no-brainer, right? So I shouldn't have to twist your arm to do this program, because you can see the value of it. And again, this is an hour and a half, 90 minutes of discussing things with you, but over 10 weeks, we can go pretty deep, and we can show you things and share with you things that, you'll never find, no matter how deep you look, because we've been looking for 15 years to put this information together. All right. Thank you, guys and gals. Appreciate you. And I promised my son that I would put him to bed tonight, and it looks like I'm going to be able to do that. Normally, I'm not able to do that when I do my webinars, but I purposely schedule this a little bit earlier so I could do that. So enjoy the rest of your evenings wherever you are, and I wish you an amazing day or an amazing evening if you're going to head to bed. And I hope you sleep deeply, sweet dreams to you, and hope you wake up refreshed with a new, invigorating outlook on life so that you can live the best of it. And I hope that whatever you're doing, you're role modeling and being a positive influence on those around you, especially your young children, because as much as you may not realize, they're paying attention to everything that you do, say, and the energy you're projecting out into the world. So love you all, and have an amazing rest of your day. Thank you.